Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about promoting metal music online. We're going to check out my 10 best ways to get your metal band out there. We're going to check out some music platforms, and I'm also going to show you some hidden metal tips. The thing we're not going to talk about is paid promotion, since I really haven't been doing that. The first platform we're going to dive into is Bandcamp. There are several important things when it comes to making a good Bandcamp profile. You need to think of your band as a brand in this case, making a good looking page that really represents what your band is about. The competition is pretty stiff on Bandcamp, so you really need to stand out. You also need to use the correct tags. People will find a lot of music through the genre tags, so you really need to put every genre in there. Use your location, use influences, anything that can be relevant and drive people to your music. You also need to have the correct information. Some people have faulty song titles, they don't have images. All that kind of stuff makes a bad impression. You really need to be 100% correct. It's also important to have the right price for your releases. I use Bandcamp's recommended price, which is $7 I think. It has worked quite well. I also made all the releases free, so I could lure people in that way. That's also something that has worked, and people are still paying for those older releases, even though they can get them for free, which shows that it's working. And one very important tip, if you're making sales on Bandcamp, make sure to save the email addresses. You can use that in form of a newsletter and actually contact people who bought your older releases and tell them when you're doing something new. Don't overuse it and spam them, but if you're releasing a new album, it's definitely relevant enough. Alright, we're gonna keep moving to another important online platform, YouTube. I think one of the most important things is to brand your channel. Either as a musician or a band, you need to brand your channel and really present what you're doing there. That will give you more subscribers, and that will help people find your channel. Make sure to upload all your band's material, both in song and album form. It doesn't matter if the same song is in several videos. That has worked for me. YouTube likes long videos, so don't hesitate to put up entire albums in one video. The metadata is super important. Make sure to include location, year, genre, similar bands, anything that can make people find your stuff. Make sure to have a really long description that includes everything that's relevant. And the tags are also super important because they will dictate where your video shows up in similar videos. Something that's worked very well for me is playlists. I made a lot of genre playlists and included my own songs in them. Just make sure that your song is relevant, otherwise people will click away from your song and your playlist won't get popular. One example is my With or Without Soliloquium video that's gotten 100,000 views through being on a Death Doom Metal playlist. This is an extreme example, but it's really turned out well for me. And it's also pretty easy. It takes time, but it's fairly easy to do. We're also gonna talk a bit about video types on YouTube. One thing that makes it a bit more exciting is to make a lyric video. I have a lot of videos with album covers, but lyric videos are certainly performing better. It takes a while to do, but it certainly gives a better engagement. It's also a way to present your lyrics. I mean, if you're playing extreme metal, not everyone can hear your lyrics. Another fun promotion thing you can do is make covers. I recommend making covers of famous songs, but it's also fun to do it of less famous songs. It's worked quite well for me, and I got in quite a few views on the covers I've done. It's also fun to collaborate with different musicians. If you've already uploaded all your material and you're running out a bit of inspiration about what to post, why don't you make a guitar playthrough, bass playthrough, drum playthrough, or why not all of it in the same time? It's definitely more entertaining than watching an album cover or watching a lyric video. A more time-consuming tip is to do what I'm doing right now, a vlog. It can be about your band, it can be about your opinions, it can be about music, whatever suits, as long as it's relevant. And we're gonna end the YouTube part with the most important tip of all. Make custom thumbnails. Thumbnails is really the reason your video stands out compared to other videos. If you don't have a super cool still picture from your video, really make a custom thumbnail every time. I know I'm not even following this myself, but I should. A really good dramatic thumbnail is really the reason why your video stands out. Just don't fool anyone with the thumbnail, or YouTube will definitely strike down on your video. Let's move on to Facebook now. For me, Facebook is a place to gather my fans and share things posted on other platforms. It's also a place to do my branding. That's why I think it's really important to have updated pictures and data. Make sure to share news and interact as much as possible with the people on the page. I think that's a central part of Facebook engagement. Just interacting in the way possible and responding to everyone. I've noticed that fans really appreciate when you start discussing things with them, when you answer things. And it's not really that hard, you don't have to go that in depth. This tip also applies to YouTube, which I didn't mention earlier. Responding to one thing is small, but in the end all those answers drive more engagement. This engagement will lead more attention to your page in the end. It's totally worth doing, and it's also a nice thing for your fans to see that you're out there to answer things. A good way to start your fan base is to invite all your Facebook friends. Also check your posts, because there might be people who don't like your page already that actually like your posts. This is especially true when you're doing promotion posts. Make sure to invite them all. Most of them will start liking your page when you do it. The promotion goldmine for me on Facebook, however, has been the Facebook groups. There are many groups for music genres and styles and other things that might apply to your music. I've been sharing my music, I've been discussing, I've been making friends. It's really been good. I've also met other musicians playing the same music genre and made a lot of contacts that way. I highly recommend checking out the Facebook groups that apply to your music genre, music style, geographic location or whatever. You will find something relevant, make sure to get active. And don't just spam the groups with music. Make sure to interact with people and be relevant. Also, if your goal is to sell music through Bandcamp in the end, make sure to make the shop button and homepage button and other things like that point to Bandcamp. It's really super important because those buttons are where people will click. Also, if you're trying to drive people to Bandcamp, don't forget to make a sticky post with the link. That will be the first thing they see, so make sure to describe your music and why they should buy it. Maybe your music is free, that's also a very good selling point. Let's move on to what's ironically one of my least favorite music platforms, Spotify. Since so many people are listening to Spotify, it's very important to have a good presence there. My do-it-yourself promotion hasn't worked all that well, but at least try to have updated pictures, correct data, and the most basic thing, have all your music uploaded. I've seen fairly big bands that haven't done this. There are EPs missing, albums missing, and I have no idea why they're doing that. It's way too important to mess up on. The thing that works for Spotify is getting on playlists or making playlists of your own. Find playlist makers that are making playlists for your music genre. Contact them, ask them to check out your music. This can work. Some of them want money or promotion or whatever, but usually they're nice enough to put your music on there if they like it. Also, if Spotify success is important to you, make sure to promote Spotify on other platforms. If you are posting in Facebook groups like we talked about earlier, don't post YouTube links if you think Spotify is more important. Post the Spotify links. My next tip is that you should do everything you can to get reviewed and blogged everywhere. If you're independent, you'll have to send out a bunch of emails, but it's totally worth it. The hit percent is pretty low, so it's about doing a really big effort. If you're on a record label, make sure to choose a record label that does good PR. One of the best things that happened to my band Soliloquium is that we got on the big blog Angry Metal Guy. That got us a bunch of new fans and downloads. We were even named one of the albums of the month. This was a really big thing, and we have the record label to thank for it. A tip that's connected to this is to try to build a web of contacts. Pretty much what the pros call influencer marketing. This is quite connected to what I talked about earlier when I talked about Facebook groups. Find the people that are interested in the same type of music. Find the musicians and the listeners and connect with them. Doing this has gained me many valuable contacts, also many good friends. It's also something that unintentionally has brought me one of the best win-win situations. Many of my friends' doom metal bands are posted on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is growing and they are getting new listeners. It's a win-win for everyone. Building a web of contacts like this also gets you gigs. It gets you record contracts. It's pretty much everything these days. Now we're gonna move from these practical tips to checking out some platforms that I think you should be active on. An old school tip that's still fairly important, I would say, is to have a homepage. It's an additional platform where people can find your music. Not everyone is using social media. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can just have a news feed, maybe a store, some tour dates, whatever you're doing. If you're looking to do something more active with your homepage, you can start creating content. I've been blogging a lot about music on my homepage. One effect that can have is that you will get traffic from Google. I get around 2,000 visitors every month from Google thanks to the articles I've been writing. It is time consuming, so it's not the most practical marketing way. I think it's fun, that's mostly why I do it. When you're doing things like blogging on your homepage, you can also share it on social media. I've had quite big success sharing my stuff on Facebook. We're gonna move on to the interesting part now. I'm gonna present 3 different platforms where you can find metal fans and contact them personally. I think these 3 are platforms where most people are not doing their marketing. That's why it's important to attack them, because you can really stand out. The first platform in that category we're gonna check out is the Metal Archives. Many metal fans are using Metal Archives as an information resource, but I don't see many bands doing active marketing on it. Which is quite strange, I would say, since there are a bunch of reviewers and many people are looking for info. My bands are certainly looking bigger than they actually are, thanks to the amount of reviews and the percentage on the reviews. Also, get active on the forum if you feel like it. There are a lot of metal fans on there. You can also find people who want to review music there. The second resource for metal fans that I find cool is Last.fm. It's really a place that's crawling with music nerds, and the big advantage is that you can see what people are listening to. Most people are friendly and they're okay with you doing some self-promotion as long as you don't spam them. Engage them personally and talk to them. I've made many new Soliloquium fans this way. Another big place for music nerds and subgenre music nerds in particular is rateyourmusic.com. My tactic on Rate Your Music has been pretty similar to Metal Archives and Last.fm. I've been engaging people, looking for reviews, doing some light self-promotion while talking to people. The effect has been similar. My bands look a lot bigger than they actually are. I hope that you picked up some useful knowledge in this video. If you have anything to say about my tips, please comment. If you enjoy my channel, subscribe. There will be more metal vlogs coming. Until next time.